Hello, my name is Dr. Jason Williamson, and I'm next up on the Prosperity Online show. And we're going to be talking about the second mile: proactive ownership, exceptional service, collaborative engagement, and continuous improvement. Next on the Prosperity Show.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show, the number one destination where purpose-driven entrepreneurs, leaders, and seekers of more tune in to find stories of courage, strategy, and transformation. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga. In today's episode, we gotta sit down with the founder of Second Mile Initiative, a leadership consultant, keynote speaker, an author who helps people go further than expected in their life and career. Now, Jason, how are you doing today?
I'm blessed and highly favored.
Absolutely. I am so envious of that bow tie there. I think you've just really gotten me to start thinking maybe that could be my new style. But hey, it looks good on you, sir.
I appreciate it. One real quick thing about the bow tie and the uniqueness of the tie is what makes it unique by itself. So if you can't tie it perfectly, the imperfection of the tie is what makes it perfect.
Ooh, I like that because you will never tie it the same ever again, right?
You never tie it again and get same ever again.
Absolutely. You see, for those that are watching right now, this kid you're looking at right now comes from a town of 81 people and now has earned a doctorate. He was also abducted while he was on the job. And yes, really.
That's right.
And then he now inspires thousands to lead with more heart, hustle, and humanity. So as I said, you've been following Jason's journey. And I know this journey, just like the bow tie scenario that he's talking about, is going to move you because it's not just about motivation. It's about momentum. So if you've ever wondered how you can turn maybe rejection into redirection, or maybe if faith and strategy can really coexist in business, I think this episode is the one for the books and is the one you really need to pay attention to. So yes, we will talk about how somebody ends up bonding with their abductors in a locked car for about 5 hours. You can imagine the story and the tales that comes out of that. So buckle up. This is not yet another feel-good interview. I think it's a transformational ride that goes through resilience, purpose, and what it really means to lead intentionally. Now, Jason, let's just get started back to where it all starts. You lived in a town of 81 people. So there was 80 other people and you were the one person, or there was 81 people and you were the 82nd person.
Actually, I was the 70th person when I grew up there. It's 81 now. It was when I grew up there, it was 69. Town called Ozan, Arkansas, down by a place called Hope, Arkansas. Many people know about Hope, Arkansas because of President Clinton. So I always say that Ozan is down by a place called Hope. Very small town, very big on integrity, very big on working together, very big on morals, very big on value, very big on work ethic, just small in numbers. And it really taught me and gave me a really strong foundation of what it means to be a leader and how I deal with people. And I put how they needs and what their needs are first. So I owe so much to Ozan, Arkansas. I have a friend, a cousin, if you will, who wrote a song, and he said, Ozan needs a voice. And I always try to adhere to that. Ozan needs a voice, and I'm here to be Ozan's voice, or just a representation of you can be from a small place and do big things. And that's what my journey from Ozan speaks to.
Absolutely, and it's quite fun. So obviously in Ozan, if Coldplay comes to play, you don't need a jumbotron, right? Everybody knows everybody.
We don't need a jumbotron. Everyone knows everyone, and they don't just know everyone. They know everyone that knows everyone that knows everyone. We know who's got the best meal. We know who's cooking what on Thursday. We know who does the best lemonade. We know who does the best homemade ice cream. Like there are no secrets in Ozan, Arkansas. But it's so great and it's so loving, and it just invites you to be feel embraced and loved. And that's what we need in any journey that we have. We have to have a sense of foundation and an anchor, so to speak. So I'm continually anchored by the things that I was taught by my parents, by my circle, by my friends, by my community members coming straight out of Ozan, Arkansas.
Absolutely. And obviously, in that sort of town, can you maybe just give us a lay of the land? Was there a school? Was there a post
Okay.
office? Was there a doctor's office?
Okay. So what's interesting, Ozan, like many other schools or many other places in the South, as time went on, they lost people to bigger opportunities, so to speak. So when I was very, very young, we had a post office, we had a store in town, we had an opportunity, a restaurant in town. We called it White's. That was the last name of the owner, White's Restaurant. But as I got older, the clientele kind of drifted off, and we didn't have those things. We bought sodas from the next door neighbor that sold sodas on the side, or candy bars on the side, and so forth and so on. We had to be bused, B-U-S-E-D, bust to Nashville, Arkansas, which is about 12 to 15 miles to go to school. And I rode a bus from the time I was kindergarten all the way to the time I was driving age, ninth or 10th grade. And I learned a lot of things on that bus ride, had a lot of interactions. But as far as having necessities, we had shared necessities. If I didn't have sugar, then my next door neighbor may have sugar. You understand what I mean? If someone needed a ride to town, if somebody was going to town, so to speak, they ask, "Hey, do you need something back from town?" It's that kind of togetherness, collaborative relationships, you get me, that make Ozan special. Well, when you go into business, the parallel is if we can have purpose in business like we had in Ozan, if we can provide exceptional service in business like we with each other, like we did with each other in Ozan, if we are intentional about being collaborative to support each other in a network that supply all the things that we need, like we did in Ozan, then we're starting to build momentum and starting to go in the right direction and starting to really realize some success. And that's how my upbringing and where I'm from has transitioned or translated into how I've built this leadership framework called Second Mile mentality.
Absolutely. And thank you. We're going to jump into that a little later on there. So in a word or in a sense, it did take a village to raise a kid, right? So if all the kids within the village.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And I want to say something really quickly. I've never been someone that was a drinker, smoker, any of those types of things. The reason I reference that is I tell young people all the time when I'm getting an opportunity to speak to them, your friends won't allow you to do things that's going to cause you harm. They'll always love you. And that's what I can say about my friends from Ozan, Arkansas, my family and my friends, which sometimes you can't tell the difference. The Bible tells you that a brother is born for adversity, right? So I'll say that all this time that I've been on this journey, I've always had the support as I've rotated back home. Hey, we got love for you. Go do your thing. We're behind you. We support you. And that's really the fuel that continues to elevate me forward, knowing that this journey is just not Jason Williamson's journey. I'm Dr. Williamson, but we're Dr. Williamson. That's a shared deal. They're as proud of me being Dr. Williamson as they would be any of them being Dr. Taylor or whomever. And I think that's important.
And obviously, from the 69 at that particular time, has there been any that have maybe progressed like you have and are the doctor for everyone in Oza?
Absolutely. I think it's important to say that we have had some successes in many different areas. I chose education for the foundation of the direction I was going. There's another gentleman that was real close to me. I'll shout him out. His name is Willie Henry. We call him Mo. Mo Henry is someone that he is the first, and he's the first to really be able to be a head football coach in a very large classification,
Wow.
African American in Arkansas. And we have another young lady. Her name is Tahisha. She is also a doctor, and she does technology. Now, the reason I named those three, there's so many others. So, if you're listening and I miss somebody, charge to my head, not my heart. But but I referenced those three or us three to say in that small area, because of the things that our parents did and sacrificed for us, we were able to go out and achieve successes in so many different ways. And I also would like to say that even if you are not somebody that went on to do school or did education. We have barbers that come from Ozan, right? My baby brother's a barber. We have people that went to the military from Ozan, in this whole little group of kids that were within a 5-year range of myself, right? A lot of success is coming from that little small town, and I truly believe that we all carry the mantle together for the people that came before us. We stand on the shoulders of the people that came before us.
Absolutely. That's a lot of pride and responsibility that, each and every one of you carries. Now, Jason, is it because Ozan is such a small place that you can walk across it, in maybe a day or two, that you talk about going the second mile, that if somebody says, oh, if you can find sugar at mile number 1, you can walk again to mile number 2.
Well, what it is small enough that you can definitely ride a 4-wheeler around everywhere. and the second mile, though, is the spirit of the second mile is understanding that we watched and seen examples of people that had to go the first mile. And in the first mile, we found things like the job description, struggle, sacrifice, being frustrated, or any of the adversity or any of these things. And what we learned is, in order for us to be successful, we had to go over into the second mile, go beyond the expectation to reach excellence. What does that mean? Example wise, I'll give you a specific example. When I was 11 or 12, my mother took me to a bean field where we picked purple hull peas for money. The first mile was going out there and actually picking the peas. The second mile came when I understood the importance of giving my all and all my effort, no matter how much money was on the table. It was going out and doing the very best that I could do above what they were asking. If they were saying, hey, we need you to pick 2 bushels of peas today, then I needed to try to get to 4. Because the estimation or the expectation was 2. I needed to get to 4. What does that mean? Wherever you set the bar at, you have to go beyond that to reach what is truly excellent, because everybody is doing 2, which makes you average. And average does not make you elite. And elite does not separate you from your peers and or your competition.
You know what I like about that, Jason? Not only are you saying this, but you actually embody this. I mean, you could have just worn a shirt, but you took the second mile and put a bow tie on, because that showcases that you're willing to do not just what is ordinary, because you're right. In life, what is the standard is expected. But if somebody does a little bit more, then people will be like, oh, okay, that's something. It's like everybody might be on the same flight to Arkansas or America or wherever. Right. Some people are sitting in coach, but there's other people that paid a little bit more that are sitting in business class, and they're having a little bit more bigger bags of nuts. And everybody else in coach just thinks, oh, wait a minute, what's going on? It doesn't mean they're going to arrive earlier than anybody else, but they just did a little bit extra for them to enjoy a little bit more. I don't know. Am I getting you correctly? And
what I like about what you just said is it's in life, everybody's taking the same journey. Like on that plane, we all gonna have bumps. We all gonna have turbulence. We all gonna have, people that serve us opportunities, and we're all going to arrive basically at the same place. You're born, and then we all arrive at death at some point. The question is, are you going to do the things extra to put you in a class that allows you to enjoy that ride a little more? And that's a great example of what you said. And that's what the second mile does. The first mile gets you on the plane and you're in coach. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with coach as you progress toward first class. But what you get an opportunity to do is start to work your way up and start to move forward, start to make change. And the second mile drags you almost to the front of the class. And that's what I like about it. That's a great analogy.
But then the thing is, have you noticed? People have gotten lazier and they want instant gratification without having extended themselves. And the difference between coach and business class, I don't know what it's like in America. It's just a little curtain, literally a little curtain. And it's a whole different world in there. The nut bags are bigger. The champagne it keeps flowing. And, they
seats are bigger. You put pillows, fluffy pillows. The service starts immediately when you get on the plane, and you notice, I don't know about you, when you get on the plane, first class, they're handing you drinks and doing all the things. You have to wait until you get all the announcements. You get up to 10,000 feet, you're going down the road, and then they'll say, hey, would you like a water? Would you like a half a cup of water, sir? So you're right. You're right. Now, what also happens, though, and I want to be clear, in the second mile, there is, you do have to put yourself out there. So you have to have a faith base in something that you have going on. There's some not knowing sometimes can be scary, it can be frightening. In the first mile, sometimes the pain that you know is better than the not knowing what's beyond the pain. So you just have to do what you talked about earlier, is continue momentum, continue to have faith, continue to be confident, and roll in a way that, hey, if not today, someday, soon, but I'm going to make it, and just keep that mentality.
But you just don't arrive at a conclusion like this. I mean, you sort of brought us to a point or a part where you were working in the field and picking up PEDs and stuff like that. How does one put two and two together? I mean, it's not an easy thing for somebody to see, because anybody would just want to do what has been stipulated, just so that you get whatever remuneration that you want.
I was extremely blessed. We talked about Ozan, but the most important part of Ozan was the two parents that were in my house. My mom and my dad, Roger and Verna Williamson, who really gave me a foundation about how to move in this world. They taught me the things that were way more important than any lesson plan that I've ever put together, or any standard that I ever remembered, or any test that I've ever taken. My mom and dad taught me about humility, that yes, sir, and yes, ma'am, and no, sir, and no, ma'am, and thank you will open doors for you that your credentialing won't open. And it'll definitely keep you places, if you got good character, that your talent may not be able to make you stay there. So sometimes your talent can get you there, but your character can't keep you there. Well, I learned that in my household. And my parents taught me those things. My dad taught me about keeping my word. My dad taught me about looking a man in his eyes and shaking his hand and being comfortable in my own skin, and that he's just a man just like you're a man, and that you don't have to cower or bow down to anybody, but you give everybody respect. Well, understanding that, my mother, along with that, gave me the spirit of service. I want to serve people. I want to be a servant leader. I want to be someone that somebody can look to as an example of what they can do to be successful. So when I marry those two things together, and then I take all those experiences that we've talked about, when I go forward in life, I have to be responsible to the person that's looking back at me in the mirror. No one, no supervisor, no boss, no colleague, no client, no one can hold me accountable more than I hold myself accountable to a metric that's way higher for what I expect out of myself than anybody else can expect from. And that's where it helps me stay in the second mile. I'm not going to let you outwork me. I'm not going to let you outdo me. I'm not going to let you put more effort in than me. Those are things that I can control. And I will control them. I'm up right now at 10 o'clock at night because I knew and expected that this was going to be a powerful conversation. So it wasn't about, am I going to be up too late? Because somebody else is up in the world making it happen. So how can I let them do that and I not be doing that?
And I respect that. I love that so much. But there's only so much that you can do. I mean, you're coming from a place where there's 81 people, everybody knows each other. There's not that many opportunities and things like that. Even if you wanted to, they only probably need one plumber for.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like they cannot be five or six different plumbers. And when things start happening, like maybe the world doesn't sort of give you back that energy that you're giving out. Like you got rejected at some point in law school, right? Like
absolutely.
Things like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Those are things you can't help. How would you keep going the second mile when you keep hitting roadblocks like that?
Well, the first thing you have to do is understand that it's a journey, not a destination. That you're going to have roadblocks.
Flying, yeah.
yeah. If you're flying or driving, any traveling has to be a journey, not a destination. One of the biggest disappointments, I guess, in my life is I didn't get an opportunity to get into law school. You're a first-gen student. There are some things that you may not know going to college. This is not an excuse. These are just realities. I thought getting to college and going into criminal justice, I had made this is it. And I went to the University of Arkansas, which is the biggest and best university in the state of Arkansas. And it was 5 hours from Ozan, by the way. So when I got there, I probably didn't do enough to get into law school. I didn't. And that hurt. And while I was dealing with that rejection, I was able to get into a program, a master's level program. And during that time, I don't know if it's too early to start talking about the abduction or not, but that's when the abduction happened. I was working as a case manager at a place in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and part of my job was as the case manager to take new clients to get physicals and things of that nature. And on that trip, I took 5 on the trip, but there was only 2 that abducted me. And they kept me in a van for 5 hours. Now, here's the thing. In that van, now I have to be in the second mile. I have to be intentional about trying to make a connection. Connections happen in the second mile. Because of my background, because of my training, because of the servant leadership, because of the spirit that I had learned growing up, I was able to make some connections with those two young kids. They were 16, 17 years old. Enough so that when they let me out, we collectively made a pact that they wouldn't do anything stupid to get themselves killed because we had a connection. Now, I'm not saying we was best friends in the world, but I'm saying we did have a connection. So I'm dealing with that. I'm dealing with the abduction. I'm coming out of that. And then I don't get into law school again. And it's like, wow. But as God would have it, his plan was different for me. I had an opportunity to get into college athletics. And when I maneuvered over to college athletics, I was able to start learning things about leadership, about being in charge of people, about being in charge of programs. And I started to build the business side of this second mile mentality concept. And so that failure from law school, even during a time period where was a really what I would call low period of time for me, still allowed me a door to keep moving forward. The biggest thing is keep moving forward. If you stay stagnant, if you stay in that rut, you will not be able to go eventually reach your blessings and reach where it's destined for you. So you cannot wallow in grief, and you cannot be a self-servant, self-pity person. You have to be proactive. That's why the first pillar of the second mile is proactive ownership. I had to say, Jason Williamson, you got to get up. You got to move forward. You got to continue to climb. You got to look for opportunities. You got to take initiative, not permission, and be proactive. Proactive ownership. And that's the way you continue to move in the second mile.
Absolutely. And I mean, I just wanted us to touch back on the abduction. Okay. So you're taking these guys to getting their medicals and things of that nature.
Right.
And you wouldn't have been armed or anything? How did they hold you?
No, sir. So as a case manager, and really and I don't want to call the company out because I don't want to bring any negative publicity to the organization, but we'll just call the organization Company A.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Company A at the time was where kids came to like a group home setting. They had been in the state juvenile lockup. Now they come to the group home setting to stay 3-6 months before they get transitioned back to their houses and their homes. So part of our job was to get them reacclimated into society. And specifically my job was to help them with student services activities, to help them with education, to help them with reacclimating into school systems and all those different things. And we did physical training activities. So it was our position that we needed to get them checked out, get physicals and those things, so we didn't have something bad happen. And to that point, we didn't even have anything in place that required multiple people to go, because we were just, you don't know until you know. And so that's what happened. December 28th, 1999, got in a van, got those 5 gentlemen in the van with me, went to the facility to get the physicals, came out and got into the van. As soon as I got in the van, there was a violent attack on me, and they overpowered me. It was 2 of them. But here's the really good thing about it. There was 5 people in the van, and 3 of them got out and made the right decision and didn't participate. Now, some might say, well, they didn't help you, but you know what? They didn't add on to the situation, and they made a good decision, and they strayed away from making that life-altering decision that those other 2 made. And I was proud of them, and I told them that when I did get a chance to come back, I said, man, I appreciate you guys making the right decision. So that's what happened with the abduction.
Absolutely. And you obviously had to manage that situation, even though you were the hostage in that particular situation, for your own survival. And
yes, sir.
I can put that to leadership. Like literally, when things start happening to you as a leader, you need to be able to diffuse the situation to make sure that parties involved.
Absolutely. So when you're a leader, it may not be an abduction, but life happens.
Or you should see my team. It is an abduction.
That's right. But all good leaders, all strong leaders, immediately assess the situation before they start trying to make the situation better. They try to collect as much information as possible, and they ask questions, and then they start to provide input. I'm in the van, and my first things first was, let's see if we can get this situation calmed down. Because at the time I'm being choked, and all I want to do is not get choked to death. So I reasoned with the young man and said, hey, look, we're going down the highway at 70 miles an hour. It's going to look funny if people look in the van and they see you choking me. I'm not jumping out. Can we just not be getting choked? So that's number one. What did that tell me? That told me that they made a bad decision, but they weren't evil people. I didn't feel like their intent was to kill me at that point. So I let some time pass by. So that's the first assessment. Let some time pass by, and I started to make conversation, small conversation, small conversation, small questions, small things that we could agree on. And then once we were able to agree on, then I tried to appeal to what their sense of responsibility it was for themselves. And it's not much different when you're in a company. You, as a leader, got to make connections. You got to ask questions. You got to appeal to the people that are working with you, that they have a sense of buy-in. I needed those two gentlemen to understand that their safety was as important to me as my safety was to them. It was a we thing, not a me versus you thing. And that was sincere and authentic. And people understand authenticity. So if you're a leader and you could be vulnerable enough to expose yourself to the people that work with you and make connections through authenticity, then I'll tell you now that your end result can and will be positive.
And that sort of momentum, I mean, obviously it was hostage negotiation on your own part. It was like literally writing your own letter to the teacher to say, please excuse Jason because he's not feeling well today. But that
that's right. That's exactly right.
That hostage negotiation, you're obviously driving. It could present dangerous for the both of you, but you managed to obviously get out of that and stuff like that. That is what you now help people with, right? Building that momentum. Like you said, it's small questions, small steps.
That's right.
Had you blown out of proportion, they would have also escalated the whole thing. Absolutely. And you would have probably been not Y2K compliant since this was in December.
100%. We've definitely been having a conversation with a bow tie on, looking real good right now.
Oh, fantastic. And obviously you're now using this as a message in the work that you're doing, right?
I do, and I try not to. I shared that with you. It's not something. This is the first podcast I've ever shared that on. I don't know why you got that out of me, but great job to you. But what I do want to do is, because it's important to me that I don't want, if you notice, I was very particular about protecting the company I was working with, because I don't want them to see any negative press for them. I was very particular about making sure I didn't mention the names that did this with me or to me, because I've forgiven that situation. I don't hold hard feelings. I wanted to move forward. But you are correct. I am able to help people with crisis intervention, conflict resolution, connections, team building. I talk about having a purpose. I had a purpose in that van. I talk about being able to advocate. I advocated strongly in that van. I talk about communication. Communication was a very strong piece for me in that van. And I talk about empathy. I call that my pace. There had to be empathy in that van. I had to empathize with the backgrounds that got them in that position to make them feel like they had to make that decision. I used all of those things to make those connections, and it ended up positive for me. And I know if people give me an opportunity, I can teach them how to do that. I can walk them through how to do that. I can work with them through scenarios, real world scenarios to help them move and train people how to do that. And that's what we need in all leadership. If all leadership was about purpose, about advocacy, about communication, bring transparency through communication, and about empathizing with the people that they represent, how much better would this world be?
Absolutely. And so many people just want what's working for them and not necessarily, you know, how it looks like in the other person's shoes and things like that. But I'm just thinking, did you stay with that job or you decided,
Well, as luck would have it, I stayed probably another 6 months or so. I needed to finish that out. I needed people to know and understand that the job was not something that they had to be afraid of. If I leave immediately, it sends a message that this might not be a place for people. And the mission at that particular job is a strong mission, trying to help young people get reacclimated in. So I stayed about 6 months, and then I left, and then I finished grad school. So I only spent about 6 months about a year in the town, but I only about 6 months not working with that place, and then I was gone off to college athletics.
Absolutely. And what was it like now, obviously without any threat of being choked?
It was great. Hey, listen, so there were still kids there that I had been there prior to, and they showed me so much love. And Mr. Williamson, well, Mr. Jason is what they call him. Mr. Jason, we're so sorry to happen to you, but it's all good though, because there's a message in everything for everything. Well, there's a message in everything for everybody, and I'm glad that my experience there has been able to, somebody can see that and move forward on that. So that's good.
Absolutely. And at some point, you then became high school principal.
I did.
Now working with kids that at least wouldn't strangle you, but would.
Right. But no strangling. No strangling. So my time as a high school principal, oh man, that is some of the most rewarding experiences that I had. I've done it all, not just high school principal. I taught in the classroom. I coached. I was an assistant principal. I was a testing coordinator. I've been an athletic director. I've been a building principal. And one thing that I can say is, when we put students first and we focus on their learning, and we commit to supporting them and try to grow, then we can make change for those students. And that's a really exciting thing. That is something that is going to always be near and dear to my heart. I'm always going to be an educator, no matter what I'm doing. I'm always going to be willing to help people. I'm always going to be willing to try to give them some information that can make their experience a better experience. And it is not an accident that I became a high school principal. When I was in the 5th grade in Nashville, Arkansas, which is what the town that I went to school in was, Nashville, Arkansas. I had a young man by the name of Arthur Tucker. His name is Dr. Tucker. He was my 5th grade principal. He was the first African-American teacher and or administrator that I had. And that was in the 5th grade. And then in the 7th grade, I got a African-American male coach, and he coached basketball. And then in the 10th grade, I got an African-American social studies teacher. And so what did I do? I grew up and I was a social studies teacher that coached basketball and became a principal. Now that's what happened. That's Mr. Tucker was the principal, Coach Green was the coach, obviously, and Mr. Wilson was the social studies teacher. Now think about how powerful that is and what that means when I had an opportunity to see those professionally, and then later on that became something that I became. I don't think that's an accident.
Because representation matters. Because when
it absolutely matters.
One that looks like, and I now feel like that now has become your mandate, because you had arrived. You had literally left everything else that could hurt you, kill you, strangle you. You went into retirement, but that wasn't enough. You just wanted more by becoming an entrepreneur. Like that's a big strangler in and of itself.
That's exactly right. And I tell you, my prayer was that I was able to extend my territory, to grow my territory. You know, when I was a coach, I was affecting 12 people right on a team. When I became assistant principal, I was affecting half the building. When I became principal, the entire building was depending on me. But now I want the world to be the building, and I want to be able to share this message of resiliency, of confidence, of hard work and exceptional service, collaboration, engagement, all of those things. I want to be able to share that with the world. And most importantly, the second mile is biblical. It came from Matthew 5:41. If a person forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. And I think what I'm doing, I believe what I'm doing is I'm sharing the word, and I'm sharing that spirit, and hopefully I'm doing what God's will is for me right now.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate that. And not only are you just sharing this, you've gone on and created a lot from scratch. I mean, your media kit, the book, the digital brand, and now the persona in and of itself. I mean, what would you maybe say to somebody who says, oh, I don't have the time, I don't have the budget, I don't think this is for me, I cannot be that, or any other excuse that people can come up with?
My biggest advice for someone that's trying to start is start. Don't wait. Do something. Make a move. Do what your budget allows you to do. What I was able to do is I used my network of people that continually
All
help.
89 of them.
Well, I got all 89 of them. Bigger than that network, though. This is that go to college and build from their network. But you know, if I'm on this podcast with you, this podcast doesn't cost me anything. Most of us have a cell phone. Now, I'm not on a cell phone, I'm on a computer, but even if you just have a cell phone, you can get on a cell phone and get on a podcast and start to build your brand with people. You can do a YouTube, you could do a TikTok, you could do a Facebook. I'm just talking speaking, but whatever your genre is, you can start with what you have to move toward what you need to get where you want. But if you don't start, then you can never make it there. And I have not arrived to the point where I can't use advice, where I can't use opportunities, where I can't use platforms. All these things will only help grow my territory and my footprint. But I had to start somewhere. I promise you, if you saw the first media kit, you say, whoa.
I can't imagine. But
right.
the bow tie was there, right?
The bow tie was there, but the media kit was not. Well, because I just didn't know how to do those things. So it took hours of YouTube University taught me a lot of things. I never worked with Canva. YouTube University told me to build my media kit in Canva.
Wow.
So what you see is a Canva template. But it looks nice.
No,
right?
Yeah, no, it does stand out. You know, at the end of the day, so many people look at things in front of them and they look at the wall instead of trying to see what's sort of on the side, and that's the reason why so many people don't go further. All right, but what has been the biggest highlight, or maybe the biggest surprise? Because you're coming from education where everything has a curriculum, everything is set like that. They school terms, right. You know what I mean? You know, kids come in at a certain time, they leave at a certain time. Right. Well, there's detention or whatever it is. I would know best because that was my favorite part of school.
Me too.
All right, but
It-
what has been, because entrepreneurship is basically you showing up, like you said, you knew nothing. It was like starting from scratch. What
right.
was that for you?
The biggest aha for me
Mm,
was accepting help and not being too proud to accept people's help.
mm,
What do I mean? Well, I had the media kit, but I didn't have a website. I didn't have the money for a website. That was out of the question. But I also wasn't asking anybody for any help. I'm going to do this on my own. I'm not going to be out here begging. I'm going to make this work. I'm going to work out work. Well, no, everybody needs a team. Everybody needs help. And there's nothing wrong with that. So what happened? I got a phone call from a fraternity brother that said, Jay, you need a website. What's your address? Gave him my address. Didn't realize why he wanted to add my address. Open it up, $500 check. Take that and put that on a website.
oh,
I
wow.
call him, Benny, what are you doing? Hey, we're not even talking about that. I believe in you. You need some help. You're not going to ask for it. I'm going to help you. Another fraternity brother calls me, Jason, your lighting is bad on your videos. Your lighting's not good. Your message is good. I know you. Your messages are going to be good. What's your address? Give him my address. What shows up in the mail? A photo booth. My lighting's not bad right now, is it?
Oh,
because someone said, "Hey, your lighting's bad. Let me help you with that." Um, Another fraternity brother. Hey, you need some marketing. So he built his company, Narrow Edge Innovations. By the way, if anybody's looking, Narrow Edge Innovations. He built the website and the marketing and the CSMs and the landing pages. Now, everybody's not a member of Kappa Alpha Psi. Shout out to the Noops. And they may not have those fraternal networks. But the reality is you have someone in your phone that can help you, that can do what you don't know how to do. So my biggest epiphany was, and my biggest aha was, hey, don't be too big to accept help. Don't be too prideful to accept help. Meanwhile, work while you're accepting the help.
mm,
So this is not somebody come in and do it for me. They don't say these things to me unless they already seen that I was working and I was grinding and I'm moving and I needed some help to get to the next level. And the last thing I'll say on that, I spoke for free. And I mentioned for free because some people don't want to do anything for free. They only want to do it for money. But sometimes you have to do things to get your message out. So I went in and I spoke for free at an event last October. A lady in that event came to me and said, I believe in your message. I want to do a video for you. Do you have a sizzle video? And I was like, man, and this person just told me that they were going to charge me $1,500 for a sizzle video, and I don't have that. And she said, you give me some video and I'll take care of it. And brother, I don't know if you've seen it or
yeah.
not yet, but she put that together for me.
Wow. See, okay. You're talking about piecing together and also working and doing the things while doing the second mile, because what you have are not just website, media kit. Those are like game, like championship type
Yeah,
products
right.
that you've got going on there. It's not like
Right. That's right.
it's all second mile things like that. But there comes something that I've come across a lot of entrepreneurs, Jason, or people that are sort of getting started. They want to compare their day one to somebody's day number 100. Like somebody would watch this video right now and they'll be like, oh my God, I'm looking at this, guys. I mean, obviously we just met, but our work and everything else that happened before made this possible and is going to make it so seamless, even though we don't get to meet even later or in real life, but the energy that we're sharing is because of the work that we've done prior. So somebody might just look at this and say, oh, I can be like them guys, or I could wear a bow tie, or I could do something, and then it doesn't sort of work like this? And then how do you maybe stop comparing yourself to others? Maybe you get to big stages or podcasts like this or things like that, and
Right.
make it thwart your growth.
What I like about what you said is this, and this is another epiphany aha for me too. The next person's journey is not my journey. I have to run my own race. I can't be Eric Thomas in 5 minutes. Right? But Eric Thomas started somewhere. So I got to start my somewhere, and I got to work my own way. I never be above someone giving you advice. Never be above trying new things and working on new things, but understand that that everything you do is not going to work perfectly, but with everything you do is an opportunity to learn something new and move forward. So I say to people that are just starting out, that want to be entrepreneurs, that have a little apprehension, you're going to fail, because before failure, right? Success only comes after failure in most cases. The guy that did Kentucky Fried Chicken didn't even open Kentucky Fried Chicken until he was like 60. Right? So don't allow failure to be a deterrent. Embrace failure as an opportunity to move and propel yourself forward, because with failure comes understanding. And in those end, we say, what's understood don't have to be explained.
Absolutely. Now, you see, this becomes a way of life. This becomes a way of being. I mean, just looking at you and hearing you story, your life, talk, your life story and your experience have made this possible for you to have this aha and epiphanies and things of that nature. And some people might not have the sort of exposure that you've had, but you've managed to bottle this, and you're putting it together in a 90-day sort of devotional
Right.
work that people can follow through. Tell us about the Second Mile Encouragement and how people can get a hold of the book.
So I wrote a Second Mile Encouragement, a 90-day devotional. The story behind that, really quickly, is I wanted to get into the speaking space. Many people told me I needed to write something. I said, I just wrote a dissertation. That don't count. But anyway, write something that could be published. And I was sitting in my room and having a conversation with God. He said, look, if you'll write it, I'll give you the words by December the 8th and all of these things. And long story short, I landed on a devotional. I wrote the devotional basically in about a month and a half. And what I was able to do in that devotional was have a real conversation with the reader that says that you're going to go through some things in life, but I want to encourage you every step of the way, because I want to use some real world examples, some real stories, some real anecdotal stories that describe life and how we live it. And I want to tie in scripture and reflective opportunities. So it's 18 weeks. It's 5 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, for 18 weeks. Why is it 18 weeks, Prosper? I'll tell you why, because I'm an educator, and that's the length of a semester. So you out there in the education world, you're listening to this and you want something that you can read for a semester, 5 days a week, to give you fuel and encouragement, Second Mile Encouragement is for you. You're in the work world and you need something to get you through from August to December or whatever it is, Second Mile Encouragement is for you. Each week has a mind of its own. So, for example, the first week is called You Are Not Alone. That means all 5 entries is telling you you are not alone. And then I use those stories to bring You Are Not Alone to life. Each entry is about 250 to 350 words because I wrote it so the males in this planet that have the short attention span like myself can still enjoy it with their wives or their significant others. And it could be a collective thing if they want to. You're only going to spend about 5 or 10 minutes max with that. And then you're going to reflect and you're going to move on. It's a feel good story. You're going to like some of those stories. Many of those stories come from Ozan, Arkansas. One of my favorite story is about my grandmother growing up. She did peach preserves. I don't know if you know what peach preserves are, but my brother, if you've never had them, oh, I'm sorry for you, right? But they take these peaches and they boil them down and they candy them and they put them in these jars. And when you put them over some hot biscuits, it's unbelievable. But what that message was in those peaches is sometimes God uses these trials and tribulations that he puts us through because he's boiling us down so he can build us up into something that's a fancy meal, right? I'm paraphrasing now, but that's how all of the second mile encouragements work. You get a story, you get an antidote, you get a reflective opportunity. And you can find it on Amazon. It is on Amazon. Or you can go to my website, iamjasonwilliamson.com. And you can, on that website, you can download a preview and it'll just ask you for an email address. We won't spam you. We're just trying to make sure we get you connected. And the link is also there on my website to purchase it.
So I'll make sure that all those links are in the show notes below and ensure that people start this 90-day devotional. Now, you got me started on these peach preserves. Do they need to ferment, or how long can they then stay after you've
Okay, so here's what happens. The process is when we peel the peaches and cut them up, right? She boils them down. She boiled them down. Then she adds some sweetener to them, but they're essentially cooked, right? You're cooking them, and when you put them in the jar, they last through the winter because we eat them through the winter, right? So, yeah, it's great.
So what I'm getting from that, Jason, I mean, obviously, so many people show up in the first mile, and they are just the peach that is on the tree. And
that's right.
Once that peach is not peaked, it's going to drop and it's going to rot. But if the second mile is applied to that peach, which is boiling it and actually adding that, process, that will make that peach last a whole lot longer than it would have. That is the whole essence of the.
That's right. And man, I need to hire you. So that is a great example of the whole second mile concept.
There you go. It's all goes.
The whole second mile concept is, that first mile with the peach is just going to the peach and picking the peach, right? But if you don't do anything with it, then and the struggle is in picking peaches. You probably don't know about this, but they have this fur and it makes you itch really bad. All right. Yeah. So that's that struggle in the first mile. But if you go the extra mile, like my grandmother did, if you give the care to the peach, if you process the peach, if you add preservatives to the peach, if you carefully craft it and put it into a jar and you close it, right? Then what you have done is gone farther than the first mile to make sure we can find excellence in a tasty breakfast to boot.
Throughout the winter and everything else. Now, Jason, I can't thank you enough for the time that we spent on the call today. I mean, I keep repeating that your journey and everything else. That I believe this journey now, where we are, this was the first mile. What's next?
Right.
Now that we've gotten into your world, you've invited us into your space, and I'm going to look up these peach preserves and obviously look for the next set of mile would be. But what's next? What are you working on that we can get excited on? And
so what I'm doing right now is a couple things. One thing is, because I'm an educator, because there's such a gap in the educational world in STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, specifically for those students that are minority students. They don't gravitate to those worlds. I have created a resource that people can all over the world access, and it's 28 science, technology, engineering, arts, and math pioneers that I put together, some 5 to 7 minute what we call bell ringers and extension activities that are aligned, culturally responsive, and extremely interactive for students to be able to access. This is me being in the second mile of getting information to teachers, to school buildings, to after school places that allows them to access that information. You can go on. I have a landing page for that. There's a video on the landing page that talks you through the whole deal. And there's an opportunity to contact me if needed. But then you can also just check out right there and buy the resource right there on that. And that's at STEM, STEAM .IamJasonWilliamson.com. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is I am looking for stages. I'm looking for stages all over the world. I'm looking for stages to come share this second mile mentality with you. The four pillars of it: proactive ownership, exceptional service, collaborative engagement, continuous improvement. I want to be someone that can come launch your business, come launch a meeting, a retreat, business retreat, a leadership retreat, any and all the above. I want to come and I want to share these stories, and I want to give you the tools to be successful so you can move in the second mile and achieve at levels that you haven't experienced before.
Absolutely. And I can't thank you enough for ushering us into the second mile, Jason. Now, for those that are watching right now, if you felt seen during this episode at all, or if Jason's story really sparked something inside of you, that wasn't by accident. It was purpose. It was really, purpose meeting preparation, because his life story and his experience has brought him to where he is right now. And I think Jason just reminded us today that it's not about having it all figured out. It's just about going that extra mile, even when nobody's clapping. It's just me and Jason right now, but now we're going to be sharing our journey and our message to the world, and, even if the doors are closed, as we experienced with the the legal school that wouldn't take him in, that's leadership, just taking everything in stride. That's also faith, talking to people that could literally take your life away. That's momentum, getting past each and every one of those things. So if you are ready to start on your second mile, I encourage you to connect with Jason at IamJasonWilliamson.com, or grab this 90-day devotional in the show notes below. And trust me, I think it's more than a book. It is an actual campus with pages, that will show you from where you are to where you want to go. And if this conversation really made you pause, maybe smile, or rethink your path, I encourage you to share this episode with someone who really needs to hear this today. It could be your leader at work, or it could be, somebody that has just gotten into leadership and they're trying to find their way around. And if somebody has shared this with you, just subscribe to the Online Prosperity Show so you don't miss out on conversations like this, because in the next episode, we're going to be diving into ideas that will actually help you build a more meaningful existence, both online and offline. I can't wait to see what you will do with this information. And I can't wait to meet each and every one of you guys watching this and listening to this in the second mile of your life. Bye for now.